Welcome back to Dynasty Football Maniacs. How about that? Foosball's here. I'm excited. I got the alligator fries and a crawdad sauce. All right.
Um, I don't even know where you got that from.
I got it because I just came up with it. I just made alligator
Are you are
fries and crawdad
are you
fish.
sh- are you sure that's not Cajun, like down
No.
in the swamps and stuff?
Yeah, I believe so. It's probably swampy. So, college football was amazing this weekend. I don't know how many of you guys tuned in, but I was very excited. There was some disappointments out there, but it is what we saw across the board. I mean, the teams that were supposed to dominate it dominated. There was a few upsets. Um, not going to name no names and get into too much details, but it was definitely enjoyed watching football. Impressive with the play of Notre Dame. That was a good game.
Mhm.
If you guys were, I know this is a little game. A lot of people probably didn't tune into it, but the Vanderbilt Virginia Tech game was a good game. I mean, that was a football game.
I watched the end of it.
Yeah, it was worth watching the end of it. Um, so basically, we're just going to talk about this upcoming week. Fantasy football's here. Your leagues are drafted. Your teams are ready. So, what are you going to do? You got to organize these teams. You got to get them ready. The first game kicks off at 8:20 Eastern time. The Ravens against the Chiefs. They already announced that Adesanya Isaac, linebacker rookie, he's out, hamstring injury. And they're also doubtful their running back, Rasheen Ali, will be playing. It's a neck injury. And then the Chiefs, we all knew Brown was out. Hollywood Brown was out already through preseason. Um, so the one nice thing I've seen that came out this season, and I want to give props to Sleeper. They added that sub. I think that's going to be awesome through the season, especially when you have them question marks on your bench that you don't know if they're going to play. And sometimes it's hard for you to tune in right before the game. It gives you two options. It gives you the option of subbing a guy that hasn't played, they can make it tougher, or they can just sub. Like if that guy goes out, it doesn't matter if that guy played Monday night, Thursday night, they just automatically sub it. But you got to pre pick it, and there's a little link on there to do it. And it's really how your commissioner sets it up. There's two switch bars on there. One switches it where you have to pick the guy after the guy plays or at the same time, or you can have it switched off where it doesn't matter. Just link a guy to it. And if that guy ends up getting called out of the game, the other guy will automatically put on your roster. They did put a limit on it, which is, I think, it's the best thing to do. You don't want to have it maxed out. So 3 players, I think, was way too many, but I like it. Um, you get choices 1, 2, or 3. So I think it's a great feature they added. It really pumped me up when I seen it. So I'm
I think
excited. I introduced, well, actually, Austin tipped me off to it, and then we went from there.
I I think 3. Yeah, I think it just depends on the size of your rosters in your league and how big it is for to be set to 1, 2, or 3. I thought, well, from what everybody voted it in, but I thought that we did 3 because we're an IDP league just like yours is. You got offense and defense, so 3 is actually pretty good in my opinion because of how vast our roster is.
Yeah.
So it be and now I would make the complaint if they started doing like, oh well, you can do like 10 or somewhere in that ballpark. And then that's when I'm like, I think we're going a little too big on ourselves here.
Yeah. So
So
basically, we wanted to get out there before the games kicked off Thursday, let you know we're not going to go too deep into this. It's not going to be a long show. It's going to be shortcut. Plus, I'm going through some sinus issues. You could probably tell by my voice. I'm not all there 100%, but I'm here for you guys. Um, as I said before, our opinions is our opinions. Me and Austin sometimes are completely on different pages. Sometimes we actually think alike, and it just depends. But at the end of the day, we all have our own opinions. And the one reason why we started this whole podcast is we've both been rated different things in the past. And then in the outcome of it was a whole different outcome. So I thought it'd be nice to get a little fresh take, a little different. opinions. And I think me and Austin kind of gives you guys two different complete opinions most of the time. So not to dig too deep. I know him and me agreed
I,
only to three
I,
players each, but I
I,
went ahead and got four, but I will let
I,
Austin interchime.
well, before we do that, I think it's a great yin and yang, in my opinion,
It is.
because sometimes, like, I've noticed I'm like more of a little conservative type, and you're more of like the super aggressor type. So I think it kind of balances itself out.
It does. It really does. That's what I like about it. So I'm gonna tell you right now, me and Austin are competing.
We're
We're
competing in
doing,
a lot of things,
yeah,
actually.
we're doing the pick 'em for the college, which is only like we're playing on the ESPN app for that. And then I had I don't know, I haven't even looked at Austin's result. I had 70%.
Oh, I'm glad you reminded me. Why you? I think I looked at it. I think I had 70% as well.
So I think we both got three wrong. I think that's what it
Yep,
was.
I got 70%. So we, me and you picked the right, picked probably the same area.
Well, I think some probably differed where you probably picked them right and I picked them wrong. Did you pick Vanderbilt?
No,
I
honestly,
didn't
I did
either.
not. I
I
picked
didn't either.
Virginia Tech.
So the other one I have for you is let's see, what other one did I get wrong?
I'll tell you one that I got wrong. I got the South Alabama and North Texas game wrong.
Same here. I got that one wrong. So we were picking the same stuff nearly. So we
And
might
then
all got
did you pick? Who'd you pick in the Notre Dame and Texas A&M game?
I picked Notre Dame.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Okay, so me and you picked differently on that one because I picked Texas A&M for that. So
Wow.
I wonder what other I wonder what the other game is that you picked that I got right and you got wrong.
Well, that's what I'm looking at right now.
Huh. I'm really curious.
Yep. So let's see. Well, that's for this week. Who don't need to talk about this week?
Yeah, that's for later.
Got to get to week one. All right. So I picked Virginia Tech to win, and they didn't. I picked Georgia to win. They did. I picked Oklahoma State. They won. I picked Florida over Miami, and I got that wrong.
See, that's the game that you got wrong and I got right.
Yeah. See, they come out with this hype all every year about Miami. They're here, they're ready to go. And every year you get disappointed. And I went ahead and felt like it was going to be a disappointment again this year. I'm sorry, Miami Hurricanes. I don't mean to disdoubt you like that,
I don't
but
know. I honestly believed in the hype a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
well, after I watched the game, I kind of like said, okay, I lost that one. The hype is
I
there.
mean, that was I'm sorry, Florida fans, but that was just embarrassing.
So we were both right on the Arizona State. So that's
Right.
interesting.
Right.
So to get back to the fantasy side of it, we got a lot of games lined up, some good ones. Like the Ravens and Chiefs is no joke. I mean, that's going to be a good starter to just open up your NFL year. I
Mhm.
will definitely be tuned in. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
Austin will be too.
Well, it's kind of
Um,
our job, so
yeah. I mean, and we do it for fun. We were doing it before we kind of made it a job. So
yeah, but we signed up for it, so
yeah. And I did on my pick 'em. I'm gonna tell you guys who I picked. I picked Baltimore to win this game. I believe they're gonna beat the Chiefs. Um, I believe they're gonna dominate. And the Chiefs are not going to win this game, but I could be wrong. Um,
oh,
so
really?
on that,
Huh.
but for
I
my, go ahead and tell me what you got to say.
I went the other way around. I went with the Chiefs.
I'm not changing my pick.
Well, that's
I'm
fine. That's
I'm
fine.
sticking.
You don't have to, but I mean, you still have Andy Reid
It doesn't matter.
running the matter.
You
What do
got
you mean? What do
you
you
got
mean it doesn't matter?
you got
He
you got.
literally they literally won 2 Super Bowls back to back, and you
That's the
telling
Super
me it
Bowls. This is
doesn't
regular
matter?
season games. The Chiefs struggle during regular
And
season
they
games.
oh yeah, and guess where it ended up? Being in the Super Bowl. So therefore, It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how bad. Yeah, they're
Even though
all.
they're playing at Arrowhead, I still predict they're going to lose.
Mm, all right, I'll let you. You can keep your pick, and I'll keep mine, and then we'll
All
see.
right. So, another advice I wanted to give everybody. Me and Austin talked about this prior to the show a little bit. We each are going to pick out like players to sit and start. And I'm going to start with a defensive player, and that's Jalen Petrie for Houston. And the reason why I'm saying you need to start him, you need to make sure he's on the bench. Yeah, 2023 was a struggle for him. Last year was not his greatest season. The season before that, he was the best defensive back out there. Why I think this game here, week 1, is going to be a high potential chance for him to redeem himself and start that progression back is one, he's playing against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I'm not saying Anthony Richardson's just throwing interceptions left and right, interception for this guy, interception for that guy. I'm just saying it's his second year out there. He's an inexperienced quarterback, and he's known to do that. You got an experienced DB back there. And I mean, he's not the most experienced, but he has been he's a little bit more seasoned than Anthony Richardson. And I kind of see this is the game that's going to give him his pivotal point as a defensive back and get him in the top tier of the top 3 defensive backs this year. I believe he'll perform this the rest of the year. So if you have him as your defensive player in an IDP league, you need to play him. You need to play him either in a flex position or in the defensive back position. He needs to be on your roster. He does not need to be on your bench. Offensive side, the guy you need to sit. And I had to go and lay down and take a Tylenol before I could say this. You got to sit Zeke Elliott. You can't play him. Yes, he's named the RB1, and I love the man. I still have posters. I know that's wrong. I'm a growing person. But the Dallas backfield is a little bit emotional back there. Who's who? What's going on? And yeah, we're going to see him play some big plays. We're going to see him do stuff, but he is not RB1, so don't get your hopes up. Don't think the Zeke's back or Dalvin Cook's going to take the room. I dream that, and that's just a dream I have. That's why I took a Tylenol, drank some bourbon, laid down, thought about it, came back and talked to you guys. Please sit him. He's a bench warmer. He's not a starter. He should be your backup running back for whatever running back you have. If you need him for a flex position, okay. But I'm not, he's not going to boil them points over for you guys. I hate to break it to you. Yes, he's an end zone guy, but there's other backs now they're at Dallas that could be that end zone guy. So kind of back off. Now, I am going to disagree with a lot of experts out there. And I'm going to roll the dice. And this is where sometimes Austin tends to put me in check because I do get gutsy and I get out there. I'm sorry. Herbert is not a bad quarterback. If Herbert plays and he has a wide receiver, you're going to see magic. And the one magic you're going to see is the least magic everybody's predicting. They're saying, oh, yeah, you're going to see it later in the season. I think you're going to see it right off the bat. They're going against Las Vegas, okay? Now, not putting Las Vegas down. They got a great defensive crew. Secondary, I'm just saying. I'm not an expert. I'm just saying when I watch the game, I'm like, that front line, they disrupt stuff. So if they disrupt them, yeah, they get it. But then you're talking about the Chargers offensive O-line. That's a different beast. That's a different thing we're talking about. They only lost their wide receivers. They didn't lose their core value of the team. So if Ladd McConkey can get out there, if you've seen him play in college, you've seen how he goes after the ball, you see the contested catches he gets. At the end of the day, he should be on your starting bench. You should have him as your wide receiver. No doubt about it. And that's my 3 players. So you could disagree, agree, but please don't hold me to my advice because if you fail, I failed too. So just think about that. I got to mourn after I told you what I done. So what you got for us, Dawson?
All right, so you're gonna love this first one.
Oh God, I'm tickled already.
You think you will?
All
Because
right, let me.
this is the guy that you like. This is the guy that you've talked up several times. And this is the guy that you rode with last year as well. And you're gonna ride with him this year, especially if you really need it, and especially in super flexes. But to start, my number one player to start is going to be Baker Mayfield. I'm going to start. I would suggest starting Baker Mayfield.
Oh, I'm sorry, you just excited me. God, I'm so excited.
I I know that's the reason why I knew you would love this.
Yes.
But I mean, and when you look at the stats, yes, you can't really look at stats and what happened last year and translate that from this year because teams change players and stuff and schemes change and there's so many changes. But they play the Washington Commanders
Mm,
for their opening game, and the Washington Commanders had the worst defense, and not just worst defense, the worst passing defense in the NFL last year.
mm-hmm.
And I'll be completely honest with you, from what I've looked, Washington's got a good defensive line, so they'll be able to stuff the run. But when I look at their secondary, it it looks very vulnerable to me. So that is the reason why I would definitely start Baker and Mayfield. Even though you can't translate, like I said earlier, you can't translate from what happened last year to this year. But from what I've seen during the offseason and what I've looked at the roster and how they structured it, I still think the passing game for Washington is going to be very vulnerable. So I'll definitely start Baker Mayfield in that regard.
I
So
like that.
I I knew you would. I definitely knew you would. Okay, so now I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna go to the bad side.
Mm,
I'm gonna go to where you really like this player, but this week one, I really don't think is a good idea to be playing them. And I'm gonna go with, now. This might be a shock, but I'm gonna go with we're gonna set Kyron Williams.
you know, it's not that much of a shock because that was the other fourth guy I had on my list. So I think you and me were actually the thing because there's something about the Kyrie Williams thing I feel nervous about. So
There's
honestly, I love you saying that because I was like, I hope he brings it up because if he don't, I'm gonna have to say it at the end of the show. So thank
but
you, Austin.
but
Well, you,
I mean, just looking at it, yeah, they're playing the Lions, and yeah, their defense wasn't that great last year. I mean, we all know that. But they have actually a really good run rushing defense. It was their passing defense that was very abysmal, but their rushing defense was pretty solid because they were literally only allowing like 88 yards per game last year. Their rushing defense was solid. So I really, and from what I saw during the offseason, I think the Lions, to be honest with you, literally just upgraded on defense.
yes,
During the draft and stuff, I literally they really upgraded on defense. And plus, I know people like, there's mixed emotions about this new kicking system, but that's the new kicking system is actually allowing, more players to actually, take a chance of actually returning the kicks and stuff be- because of the rules are different than how they used to be. And they then came out and said, "Hey, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna let Kyron Williams be our kick returner." Now I don't know about you, but if I'm supposed to have a guy that's supposed to be a workhorse running back, I really don't want him going out there and returning kicks due to the fact that, he's already going to get like, I don't know, 20 touches in the game, possibly more, depending on how things go. So that's another thing that bothers me with that. But the Lions game, I think it's going to be a struggle for him. So I would definitely sit him out for week one at least, and let's see how it goes from there. All right. So now we're going to move on to the next guy. And I am going to use, actually, he's going to be my start because, you know, my first player that I chose, we chose Baker Mayfield. Well, we're going to stack this up. And I think you should also start Mike Evans
I definitely agree that.
because like I said before, the Commanders defense was just atrocious and they still look pretty rough. So, you know, Baker Mayfield's got to give that ball to some people, but I think Mike Evans is going to make the most of it. And he's going to, I could, for this week at least, I can easily see him being in the top 15, especially going up against the Commanders. I definitely can see him breaking the top 15 this week. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to put on Mike Evans because literally most of my argument was with Baker Mayfield. So it would be kind of the same argument I make with Baker Mayfield.
Right.
But yeah, those are my three players.
So that's exciting because now we got that out of the way. I hope you guys take his advice, my advice, kind of run with it. So how this is going to go for us for the rest of the season, instead of the shows we were putting out, we'll go back to them kind of shows. But right now we're going to be doing start of the football week. We'll cover what we covered here, sits and starts, and what's going on in the NFL and what you need to look for. And when we find that special player off the waiver wire, we'll make sure we get it out to you guys as quick as possible. So you go out and grab them because we know that star is hidden somewhere in your redraft league, and maybe even if you have anything left on the waiver wire for Dynasty, it might be a little gem out there. Usually a Dynasty league, it tears up the waiver wire. I mean, there ain't much out on the waiver wire, but
you do still get those hidden gems.
oh
Though.
yeah, there's a rookie out there that was never looked at or thought of. It
Mm-hmm.
might even thought to be a practice team guy, and then he comes out and he's more than just a practice team.
Or a player that you gave up on, but all of a sudden they get a rebirth out of nowhere.
Because Karen Williams was already in the system for 2 years before he ever got that chance to
Well,
touch.
well, look at Zach Moss. Zach Moss was in and out, wasn't really a superstar in the beginning of the career, but then last year, all of a sudden, when JT got hurt, he just blew up, and then now he's a starting running back for the Cincinnati Bengals.
And Austin Eckler was the same way. 2 years in the backfield before he ever got a chance to get the starting job. And when he did, history was made.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, if you like the content, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned. Once we figure out how we're going to do the football season, we'll probably end up dropping 1 or 2 shows a week between college and regular football. But I'll give you one more little exciting news. Or prediction. Let me say it that way. It ain't news yet. I said at the beginning of the season, Aaron Rodgers, 3 games, he's done. I'm not going to retract that.
Oh.
He's still going to play 3 games and done. Sorry, Aaron. I think your time is up. I mean, I think you're going to cry about something soon. But I like you, guy, man. You're a lot better than I would ever be at football. So,
well,
most of the guys on
okay.
the practice team are better than me. So, I mean, guys that didn't even get to the practice team, the guy that's carrying your towel is better than me. But hey, don't forget to hit the like button. That helps our show. It helps us grow. And you guys feel free to comment. I know when I first launched this, I had the comments turned off because I didn't know how to set the settings, but everything's open now. If you got something good to say it. If you got something like you don't really agreed with, you're not going to hurt him and my feelings at all. We're going to be fine with it at the end of the day. Just
Yep.
be polite about it. Don't be rude.
Mhm.
Look forward to it. We'll see you guys next week and get all that football in this week. All right. This weekend, you got college and NFL. So it's going to be overwhelming. So get ready. Go
Mhm.
Bucks. And what do you want to say? I know you got something to say. Say it.
uh, no, I think I'm gonna let my team speak for itself. So,
No, I mean the other part. What do you always say on the
oh,
show?
well, make sure you share because sharing is caring.
That's right.